Well, welcome back. Can I just say
Wow.
I'm uber jealous about you cooking in the daytime kitchen with Andrew.
Don't be, because I haven't actually eaten anything yet. All I got to do was just smell the amazing things that Andrew was doing. If you want a chance to taste some of the things that Andrew's doing, check them out at Books to Eat. At London Public Library, going to be an amazing evening of food based on books. And he actually did, he told us his book is Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it. I'm actually hosting the event, so I will be sure to stop by. And come on out and join us. There are still tickets available.
Absolutely.
But this event does sell out, so you want to get your tickets ASAP for
He
sure.
wouldn't say what he was making, but based on just the things that he's made for us today in the daytime kitchen, amazing. Check out the Springs Rex restaurant at 310 Springbank Drive.
Cool. Do you play tennis?
I have played tennis. In fact, as in my youth, I was a pretty good tennis player.
Really? Not so much. But I've heard that it actually is very good for you.
Certainly.
You get quite the workout. And Kari Schneider is here from Empower Conditioning. Tennis is one of those sports, right? I mean, you do a lot of cardiovascular work with it. I mean, it kind of works everything, doesn't it?
It works everything, and it's spring. You got to get outside. So we need to have more to do. And it's one of those spring sports, along with golf, along with cycling. We want to get out there, so we want to feature tennis and show a few exercises to help you get back into the swing of things, literally.
Well, and I think tennis is also one of those sports you kind of have to be careful because there are so many sudden changes of direction that you can be, if you're not prepared, you can be really prone to injury with tennis.
And the reason we've chosen a few exercises is to prepare you for what you haven't done all winter long. So a lot of people just occasionally come out and do a little tennis. And if they're starting up in the spring and they haven't done it previously, well, we want to get those rotations, the rotational movement patterns ready. We want to get your shoulders ready. We want to get ready with the ankles and the feet to do a few direction changes. So it's important.
How important is just a warm-up for recreational sport? I mean, there's so many times that I've gone out and been like, okay, here I am, and away we go.
Yeah.
And I usually end up rolling an ankle or doing something bad.
Well, you just nailed it. You said it. And I have so many clients that do that, and the argument becomes, well, there's no place to really do a proper warm up, or I met my training partner there, and away we went, and it just. But it really is worth it, and you can burn a few extra calories. You can get a little more out of your workout. Do the things you need to work. So.
All right, we'll talk about a few of the exercises that we're seeing right now
So
to get
this
ready.
is Matt, and he was my tennis pro for a little bit. He's doing a reverse fly, and what we want him to do is stabilize his shoulder blades and work the back head of his deltoids. So this little muscle at the back of your shoulder is very useful in slowing the arm down when you're swinging. So now we're going with the same focus here. He's doing an external rotation movement with the tubing, and he's getting the rotator cuff muscle, some of the 3 specific external rotators. These little guys are responsible for slowing that arm down when you swing. Now we're doing a different angle, but same thing. So still external rotation, but different angle, so it's the arms away from the body. And again, getting accustomed to strengthening the little guys that need to slow that arm down with a lot of leverage and with that racket. So here he's doing a rotation. Oftentimes, if we've neglected our tennis game all winter long, we haven't done a lot of rotation. So he's hooked up that tubing perpendicular to his body. He's rotating across with a long levered leverage of his arms. And that's working his core, his obliques in a standing position, getting his body ready for that rotation. This is called an anti-extension. And this, for those overhead positions in tennis, is great for the core. You think it might be a tricep exercise, but really what you're going to feel in this tall kneeling position is a lot of core work. So getting his core ready for that type of position. And then getting the ankles and the feet ready. A 2-foot line hop is excellent. Little warm up, little angle change, little stimulus there for the feet. And a more advanced position, more advanced movement would be the one-legged one. Now I know Matt here, he had broken a bone in his foot. He was in a boot for a long period of time. So I'm sure he's got one side that's a little worse than the other. So those are going to be some exercises that will really help prepare you for a lot of the movement patterns of tennis, especially when you've been away from it for several months or even a couple months because of the winter climate.
Clearly, based on at least those exercises, shoulder strength is a big key. I mean, obviously, it's probably one of the biggest muscles groups you're going to use in tennis.
Yeah, you haven't held a long racket for how many months, and then you go and you hang on to something that's this much longer than your arm and you swing it really hard, all that leverage, all of that force goes right back into the shoulder, and it usually causes people some grief. Sometimes they're getting a little bit of forearm issue. They might get a medial epicondylitis, a tennis elbow or a golf elbow situation. So here's Matt doing a few, I think I know who's throwing this ball here. And, he's doing a few swings, but you can see on his backhand and his forehand that if he, you know, we're not pros like Matt is. We're not going to hit the ball perfectly in the sweet spot every single time. And when we don't, guess what? All that force goes through your wrist, into your elbow. Sometimes that elbow epicondylitis, some of those tendonitis happens, or into the shoulder. And anything in a huge long levered position like this overhead serve, that's where we've done that shoulder work so that he can prevent some of what's going to happen from slowing that huge acceleration down, that huge leverage, the force that's going through the arm.
What I found fascinating was to build this strength is you only use that tube, right? I mean, a lot of people I think have this misconception to build strength you need to have bulky weights.
Well, really, we're building strength in 3 very small muscles when we're talking about the rotator cuff and the external rotation that we were doing. So those little muscles are literally the size of my fingers. If we were working the pecs or more delt work, we might need a little more resistance than that tubing, but we were focusing on some very specific muscles that are very important for slowing that arm down and that usually get injured easily because they haven't been stimulated with the other work that people have done throughout the winter. So that's why we kind of attack those little guys. They don't need a ton of resistance, but very specific work.
Well, and then the key to that is, as you mentioned before, you really can do that anywhere. You know, we had him just basically attaching it to the pegs.
So no excuses when it comes to your tennis game. Oh, I didn't have time to. Well, you know, just put it in your bag. It's with your shoes, and away you go. Your shoes, your racket, your tubing. Do it a little before your workout. Warm up your shoulder. Get your ankles ready to go. Your core ready to go, and that should help reactivate, warm you up, and prevent some of the things that can happen when you haven't been at the game for a while.
Good tips. How's your game?
Oh, wow. That's why I needed a tennis pro. Yeah. My husband was picking up things a little quicker than I was, and yeah, a little comical.
That's funny. Well, thanks for stopping by there, Kari.
Practice, Kari. Practice.
Practice.
I know.
Practice makes perfect. Empower.